One. Europe is in a massive energy crisis right now, with the price of electricity in France just hitting record highs. Their government is ordering businesses to cut back on the use of illuminated signs and advertising. In Berlin, Germany, they're turning off non-essential traffic lights at night. Millions could be without heat this winter. In Spain, it's now illegal in some places to put your AC below 80 degrees Fahrenheit. The UK is bracing for wide-scale blackouts this winter. Why is all this happening? Because of Joe Biden's sanctions that are nothing short of a modern-day siege. Now, this comes at a great cost, but Joe Biden told us, hey, this is necessary to defend Ukraine.
Defending freedom will have cost for us as well, and here at home. We need to be honest about that. But as we do this, I'm going to take robust action to make sure the pain of our sanctions is targeted at the Russian economy, not ours.
Now, there are costs for us, but it's not Joe Biden paying the price. Vladimir Putin is not either. Russia's energy revenue is higher now than before the war in Ukraine began. This is a supply problem that Joe Biden created, one that Russia is now profiting from. There is no cost, no amount of death, destruction, and suffering that'll get in the way of permanent Washington fulfilling their agenda. Now, remember former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright? And she said that 500,000 dead Iraqi children were worth the Clinton administration's sanctions.
We have heard that 500,000 children have died. I mean, that's more children than died in Hiroshima. And you know, is the price worth it?
I think this is a very hard choice, but we think the price is worth it.
It's never been about morality. It's not about the people of Ukraine or protecting democracy. This is about regime change in Russia and exploiting this war to strengthen NATO and feed the military-industrial complex. It's even about bringing about, quote, a new world order. We've got to lead it, he says. And he's trying to do just that, even if it means bringing us to the brink of nuclear catastrophe.
Two. We're the ones provoking this war, just like we provoked the war in Ukraine. We are now provoking a war with China. And who benefits? I'll tell you right now. Your enemy is not China. Your enemy is not Russia. Your enemy is the military-industrial complex, which has been fleecing this country to the tunes of hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars. How many times are we going to have a defense secretary say, hey, we can't account for $2 trillion in the Pentagon again? Which has happened twice now in my lifetime. So again, people are being, the war machine cannot be stopped. Who's running this country? The war machine. It certainly isn't Joe Biden making these decisions. I would like to know who is making the decisions. And I just want to remind everybody, the United States is the world's terrorist. We just set the Middle East on fire in the last 20 years. And now we're doing a proxy war in Ukraine, which we provoked, NATO provoked, and it was just admitted that we provoked it by the former prime minister of Germany. And now we're trying to saber-rattle with China, and they're predicting a war. Again, China's not going to invade us. China's not our enemy. We might have an economic war. That's what these are. These are economic wars. These are wars in Ukraine. It's about liquefied natural gas and making sure Germany and Russia never come together because we fear Russia's natural resources and manpower, and we fear them getting together with Germany with their technology and their capital. And so that's why we blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. That's why we're doing the Ukraine war. This is all about hegemony, imperialism, and economics. And if there's a Marine somewhere, it's there because they're about to steal some natural resources from another country. As everybody's screaming about what a bad guy Putin is for invading Ukraine, the United States is currently occupying a third of Syria. And which third is that? It's the third that has the oil. And how do I know we're there to steal their oil? Because the president of the United States said so.
Three. The Russians are winning. Ukraine is crumbling. Ukraine's on the verge of collapse. We're going to watch that happen over the next several weeks. The Russians will crush out of existence what remains of the Ukrainian armed forces, and I think they'll have to go after this regime, assuming Zelensky and his friends don't rapidly flee the country to Poland or somewhere else. Now, having said that, the Russians are being very methodical, very deliberate. They are moving constantly, but they are not moving on multiple axes simultaneously. In other words, You're not going to see the blitzkrieg. What you're going to see on several axes are what I would call large meat grinders that are just systematically plowing forward, annihilating everything that they come in touch with that is Ukrainian until the Ukrainians are finished.
And so then what's next? I mean, we heard from Jens Stoltenberg just last week, worried in an interview that this could spiral out of control, not be able to put this genie back in the bottle. So is this right now the West, NATO, trying to find an off-ramp in this? Or are we looking to take things to the next level?
Well, the next level, once these ground offenses begin, would be nuclear. And I don't see any evidence that anyone in their right mind in Washington or anywhere else in NATO wants to go nuclear. It's very clear the Russians do not. So I don't see that occurring. To be quite frank with you, we're going to reach a point in time, and I don't know when that'll be, but it'll be probably in the next 90 days, where we could no longer conceal the catastrophe on the ground in Ukraine, where Russian forces have overwhelmed and destroyed virtually all of the Ukrainian armed forces. The country is in ruins. And he was saying that whatever happens, which is a change in words for him, he's usually said, you know, the Ukrainian Victory March, which began on 24 February, continues, right? He's now saying, well, whatever happens, which means he knows they're going to lose and lose badly, there will never be a good rapport with Russia. We can't go back to business as usual. Our relations will always be poisoned. Well, that sounds to me like they're preparing themselves for the disaster. They're throwing things at Ukraine that Ukraine cannot assimilate and cannot employ. And we're sending more Westerners over there in Ukrainian uniform as contractors or soldiers to try and make up for it. It's not going to work. I think everybody knows that. But we're going to continue to the bitter end. And there's not going to be much left of Ukraine when they're through.
4. Film footage more than 8 decades old is center stage in Great Britain tonight. The newspaper The Sun has published images of Queen Elizabeth as a little girl performing a Nazi salute. And as Jonathan Vigliotti tells us, Buckingham Palace is firing back.
The home video obtained by British tabloid The Sun shows the young queen and her sister waving to the camera in their garden 82 years ago. The Queen's mother then raises her hand in what appears to be the Nazi salute. Queen Elizabeth, then a 7-year-old princess, mimics the gesture, followed by her uncle, Prince Edward. The film has raised eyebrows, but royal supporters say it was taken in 1933, long before the atrocities of World War II came into focus.
Hitler been in power probably for about 6 months. Princess Elizabeth is 7, Princess Margaret is 3.
Dickie Arbiter is the former press secretary to the Queen.
Nobody knew what was in store until very much later in the 30s.
That's when public opinion towards Hitler evolved. Case in point, in 1938, England's soccer team came under fire for giving the salute before a game in Berlin. But public opinion didn't stop Prince Edward from flirting with fascism. He soon became a known Nazi sympathizer. In 1937, after abdicating to marry Wallis Simpson, Edward visited Hitler and spent time with his troops. The Sun's managing editor, Stig Abel, called the video one of the earliest known records of Edward's Nazi support.
The fact remains that in 1933, led by a man who was to become Edward VIII, the British royal family were doing Nazi salutes to a video.
The Sun released the video just 3 weeks after the Queen made her first visit to a former Nazi camp in Germany. In a written statement today, Buckingham Palace said it's disappointing that film, shot 8 decades ago and apparently from Her Majesty's personal family archive, has been obtained and exploited in this manner. Buckingham Palace tonight investigating how the Sun got a hold of this private home video. Jim, the paper is not naming their source.
The idea that we're going to send in offensive equipment and have planes and tanks and trains going in with American pilots and American crews, just understand, and don't kid yourself, no matter what you all say, that's called World War III, okay? That's called World War III, okay?
That's called World War III, okay?
Honey, their coffee can't hold a candle to yours.
Yo, you already know. I got that yummy, that yummy, that yummy, yummy. Peg, she got that yummy, that yummy, yummy in my tummy. So many sides, can't pick just one. Slides an extra chicken patty on my bun. Mystery meatloaf, I'll take a slice. And you ain't never running low on them fries. Split pea soup, I love the way you split it. Couple bucks, help me spend a peg. Dino nuggets got me dipping peg. That sack lunch ain't got nothing on you. Yeah, yeah. She put in time for my put in time tapioca. Yeah, yeah. Serving up that yummy, that yummy, that yummy, soggy breadsticks with cheese. Yeah, you got that yummy, that yummy, yummy in my tummy. Ring the bell on my way. Yeah, peg, yeah, peg, yeah, peg. 12 o'clock every day. Pour that slop on my plate. Yeah, peg, yeah, peg, yeah, peg. Always early, never late. Hop in the lunch, I got my tray. Fish stick Friday, put a smile on my face. The braid in my favorite lunch lady. You got the yum, 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 yum. Yeah, yeah, you got the yum, 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 yum. Ooh. Yeah, Peg, you my lady, my lunch lady. Serving up that yummy, that yummy, that yummy, curly noodles with beef. Yeah, you got that yummy, that yummy, yummy in my tummy.
Make no mistake. War is coming. With all its glory. And all its horror. Your freedom awaits.
Hell, it's about time.